Hey, and welcome to the OpenDev call, the Polkadot OpenDev call, the call for the core developers of Polkadot that are meeting here every month, and we have it February of 2025. It feels like we're doing these calls for 1.5 years now. Who do we have here? A lot of the people that are building different components of Polkadot, all of its subsystems, the system chains, all the great things. And we recently changed our format a little bit. We spiced it up a little bit. So we are going by rank. We're going by the rank system of the fellowship. So the longer you are part of the Polkadot fellowship, the higher you go in rank if you do your proper work and your work is recognized by the fellows. And we will start with the highest rank this week. Typically, this is Gavin Wood. He is not directly in a call with us today, but we got a video submission from him. So we're gonna show this to you now.
Hello. So, fellowship call. In the last few weeks, I have mostly been working on the REPL for Jam. A little bit on getting some of the 0.6 modifications done as well in the grey paper, for both the grey paper and the parity implementation. In the last week and a half, I've also been busy doing the Jam tour, going around India and Hong Kong, and moving on to Taiwan today. Yeah, so the REPL is kind of fun, and I've been using it to give demos at the Jam talks. Basically just a CLI for a Jam, a small Jam testnet, but it allows very easy sort of development and iteration for services and authorizers, and it also really is helpful in letting you see how Jam works when you play around with it. Yeah, that's about it for now. Thanks. Bye.
All right, thank you, Gavin. So yeah, Gavin is talking about creating this command line interface for Jam. And I actually got an opportunity yesterday to see it, because right now I'm in Hong Kong, and he was visiting with the Jam tour in Hong Kong. And yeah, what he showed us is that he basically created work items, work packages. He created a service, and went through the whole pipeline of the production process. So this he was really excited about being able to show this. So yeah, let's see. I think we also have a few other members in the fellowship that are partially participating in Jam while they do follow their other responsibilities. So some of you fellows, if you have something to report on Jam, that would of course also be interesting. And yeah, so we're gonna move on. And next up we have Basti, rank 6 fellowship member with a salary of $16,666 per month. Basti, how many years have you been part of the fellowship or the co-development of Polkadot?
Part of fellowship since its inception, and Polkadot basically since 2018, September 2018.
Wow.
So
yeah, so like 6 years and a bit in your 7th year.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yes.
so that must have been quite a journey. I mean, this was before Polkadot even launched. So I guess, would you consider you know everything about Polkadot, or like which other systems are you most familiar with?
Yeah, I probably know a lot, but it's probably in terms of how the parachains are working and like how the node is working is probably like my best area. But also as I'm getting older, I'm starting to forget things, which is like a little bit shitty, but yeah, so that's it.
Okay, then it's maybe good we have the opportunity to ask you every month, so we can at least take some notes. So maybe Vasti, I want to share a little bit about what happened last month.
Yeah. So like last month, I think we finally, or like not only me, but all of us together, we made the 1.40 release, which includes like a lot of things, which probably like some people would talk about. Otherwise I was working on this. I'm still working on this 500 millisecond blocks. I showed it last year. I showed it like also I think last week or something. So like last year I hacked it together in like, I don't know, 3 days. It was like 3 days. It was like before going to vacation. I wanted to do something different, and so I hacked it together, and it was working good enough for making a short GIF out of it. And now I'm like in the process of making it not only like good enough working for like a short GIF, but also like really good enough for having in production. And that's like the main work I was doing. I mean, on the side, doing a lot of reviews and all these other small things that need to be done to make Polkadot a success. I don't know, like we like I proposed before, like that I want to talk about like a RFC. I'm not sure, should we do it here, should we do it later, or what is like
No, right now is the best point in time. So basically for everyone else, if you want to discuss an issue or raise an RFC, or like Basti is going to do in a minute, just when it's your turn, you can raise it. Maybe send it in advance as a link so that we can prepare it in the background.
Yeah, okay, next time I send it. Or like, I don't know if you prepared it, but I said it before, so here we are. It's RFC 180-38. It's about like selection mechanism for collators on the system chains. So right now we have like this, maybe a little history. We have this collator selection palette, which works like with basically like they are invulnerability. What, I cannot pronounce his name, but people that cannot be removed from the set, and then they're like open slots, and you can bid for the open slots, and you need to be voted into these slots that cannot be removed. But apparently people are fighting for these slots because like you get like paid by bounty for the operation. So that's like the first main difference, as instead of like on the reader chain where you have like staking, and staking gives you like gives the rewards and the fees for sure for block production on the parachain side, on the collators. You also get the fees, but you also get like an extra bounty to cover the cost. So, and there was some fight. George, I think he talked about it already last time, that there were some issues, and people were fighting for these slots and removing themselves because like there was a kind of loophole in the protocol, or what you want to say it. So he proposed this RFC for improving the protocol. But I left a comment there, and I think we should I mean, what he says is it probably improve it, but I'm not sure if it's like giving like if you look into the future, when we have like Asset Hub or like Plaza and whatever, like, and we have like also like 500 millisecond blocks on Asset Hub, all these kind of things, which means that we need to have like really reliable collator operators. I'm not wanting to say that the current collator operators are already like giving their best, and they're probably already doing it, but I'm not sure like there's a current system really incentivize these kind of people, and it's like yeah, it's hard that people get in there. And then like if you also think about it, that the more functionality we put from the relay chain on Asset Hub means like Asset Hub actually like it gets more important. So if you have like also, and makes it more or like a better target for attacks, or like that you for censorship, for example. You could think about it like you make an OpenGov proposal for something, and like you cannot vote or something. I mean, like these kind of things could happen. So the question is if we should bring up like a proposal, like, or like a FC which like changes the system a little bit more fundamentally. Yeah, maybe someone else wants to talk now. I don't know.
Yeah, if anyone if we have anyone who wants to like, talk on a topic, just raise your hand. Maybe Basti, a question for clarification. The system right now, is it how are the invulnerables selected?
I think OpenGov voting. I don't know exactly. But from like, I would need to check the code. But from reading the RC, it looked like there's a OpenGov. But I'm quite sure it's probably OpenGov voting happening.
OpenGov voting. Okay, don't know.
Yeah, I was actually raised my hand. Yeah, so the when a new chain is launched, the invulnerable set is injected in a genesis. So it's just basically decided upon by the managers of the bounty for the collator payment. And so yeah, people it's kind of like a collective thing among the collator set, that people who have been collating permissionlessly on other chains will be kind of like up for their turn to become an invulnerable. So it's done at Genesis, and then the idea is that if anybody wants to sort of challenge or kind of get a go as an invulnerable, they need to make a root ref, or not a root ref, an OpenGov referendum, which then kind of suggests removing somebody and injecting and putting themselves in instead, because there are only 7. So it's kind of like a fixed set. But then, yeah, it takes for somebody to aim to sort of kick somebody out for it to happen. So there's no sort of like automatic mechanism for managing the active invulnerable set. And then for the permissionless ones, all you need to do is put a bond in that gets you into that like top 7 people with the highest bonds, and then you can replace somebody who has a lower bond than you. So they're kind of like, yeah, to become an invulnerable, it's a referendum. To become a collator, you just need to put up a bond that's bigger than others. Yeah. Maybe
so
my question. Oh, sorry, if you had another one. But I was going to say that, yeah, I agree with Basti that we kind of need something better. And like, not only just because of Polkadot Hub, but I think we just need something better in general. Like the way that it's handled at the minute combines on-chain and off-chain, and there's a lot of kind of, it adds, having it as a bounty adds overhead for people to manage, where it's something that like, if you make a block on time, or if you don't make a block, it's like a deterministic thing that you can tell from the chain. So you can have something where like people are paid automatically without having to go and like top up a bounty and then allocate the funds. And the fund allocation is done in the same way as Basti described that it could be done on chain. So I think it's a really nice idea. And yeah, what I commented on it was just that it'll be really interesting to see the economic impact of having another mechanism for, if we do go down like a kind of staking type route, like where will those funds actually come from? Will that take away from the funds that are currently used for staking, or will it come from liquid funds, or will it be, I'd say that like originally there was an assumption that a certain proportion of the total issuance would be locked for crowd loans, but now we don't have crowd loans. That locked proportion is now kind of not not really. It's now just liquid or staking. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how we could cook something up that doesn't degrade the overall, like the main validator staking, which we shouldn't obviously degrade, while also having this like new selection of collators that's happening more dynamically.
Jay, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, so sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to verify a rumor I was hearing because this story has kind of come across my desk recently. But there's this bond that they need to put up, but I kind of heard that they were like kind of like almost like a cabal, like artificially lowering that bond so their capital wasn't tied up. Is that true? And does that affect the network security, or what does that look like? Does anybody know?
Like they were, they were putting up a higher bond, and then you could remove someone with a lower bond from the set, and then they were like, I think also like after that lowering the bond and then going into the set. So like actually they first pretended I give you like I will lock up 1,000 dot or whatever to remove like one guy who only wants to lock up 800 dot who's already in the set. So then there's like a permissionless a call to remove them. And after that, they say, okay, no, I just now want to lock up 700 dot and then go into the set. And so like they were constantly fighting for that. So security of the network is not affected by that because like Polkadot is like collators are not like for security. They're only for liveness. So their only job is to build blocks and then to do to the reader chain. Security comes from the reader chain because like security re-execute checks and ensures that like based on your state transition function, the transition is correct. So like yeah, the only thing what they can affect is like censorship. So they can censor your stuff, or they can just not build blocks, or they can like pretend to build blocks, like all these kind of things they can yeah.
Okay,
which is like also shitty.
Yeah, thanks for clearing that up. It doesn't really seem that fair either. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So to your question, Donald, I don't think that we should like have like a staking like mechanism because like yeah, if we then put staking funds to, I mean like it's probably discussable. I mean like if you take funds from the treasury also coming from staking, so like okay, you could probably argue it's like a pickpocket game of like I take it, put it from staking into treasury and then put it from treasury into like the collator operators, or like I directly take it from staking. So, but then we would directly need to take it from what treasury income is. So yeah, but I think it's discussable also. But probably in the end doesn't make a big difference.
Yeah, but I don't mean. I mean the like the funds the funds that people lock to like nominate a collator. If we do have some sort of like collator nomination.
Yeah. That's yeah, for sure. Like I would for sure say that we should have like some kind of nomination, something like that. While I don't yet know, I don't really have any good idea about it. Or like yeah, I was also thinking maybe we should have like a different authoring. Like currently we have like this. We like this or like always like we know who's the next one, like there's list, and then we just iterate over this list. But maybe it should be possible that you can get into like this list easier by saying, okay, I want to pay a certain amount and then get into it. I don't know. It's probably, as I said, we need to talk more about it, and I think it's quite yeah. Like there needs to be think about a lot of stuff, censorship and blah.
I see Oliver's hand.
Yeah, one question. So currently, it's not really calculating a score of these collators. So it's not really score and performance based. It's just stake based, or
You get paid for making a block, but you don't get penalized for not making a block. You just don't get paid. I think that's the kind of the thrust of the reward system.
Yeah, but I mean, like that's the same. That's something we cannot change. I mean, you cannot be. I mean, people want to do that, but you cannot prove that to the chain that you. So, like, if like, for example, I could build a block and then like the backing group or whatever is like censoring me. That's stuff we cannot. So we can like, the chain is always only doing things on chain which can be proven. So like you cannot prove that you didn't build a block. You cannot build a proof of that. It's impossible. Or at least I don't know any kind of scheme where you could do it, but yeah, maybe some crazy people can do that, but I don't know. So yeah, but I think it should be like, it should still be like performance based. So like, we know you should have produced like whatever 1,000 blocks, and you produced like 990 of your blocks, and you should get paid based on that. And maybe also like if someone only makes 500 of this 1,000 blocks, then they should also get less. And maybe you could also argue that like whatever the one guy gets less paid gets redistributed to the others or something like that. So there's an incentive that you have, that you take care that your collator is building blocks, and it's not only useful that you're in the set.
Yeah, that's good. But and then regarding like the censorship resistance, like I think in Ethereum they have similar problems with that. I mean, I think they make some kind of pre-commitment, and then you can later on enforce, because you already have some kind of signature on that transaction, and then you can later on say, my transaction was never included, I want to slash that block builder or something. Like, I don't know what our idea is around here to prevent collateral censorship.
I mean, it's probably also always, I mean, like we have the same way as like Ethereum. So like you can also go the slow way. So like if the chain is really censoring you, you just go to, you just send it via the relay chain. So like, I mean, the assumption here is that you get your, like, that the relay chain is like censorship resistant, and or for sure should be more censorship resistant than like the parachain. And then you have like just forced inclusion, like the things you have seen on the Soneum or whatever, like the Sony chain, where they were like censoring these transactions, but one guy just sent transaction via like Ethereum mainnet and then could do everything they wanted to do. And we have with XEM, we also have like forced inclusion. So like that's the same. So like you cannot build a block and omit like messages from the relay chain. So that's, but it's slow. And then there's I mean, maybe that is being slow is good enough. And we just say we don't care about censorship resistance that much, because like most of the things will probably not be censored. And then like just say, okay, if you're getting censored, then you can go the extra route of going via the relay chain. Yeah. But then opens up another thing. As I said, like maybe if someone censors like I'm not sure if like as one of SL Labs or whatever already opened an issue, but they will probably open issue for that, because like if you could get censored for like on an OpenGov proposal or whatever, that like they do something, someone, and then they control it, and that's not a great idea. So like we should have ways to prevent that. But yeah, maybe there's like I will stop in some seconds, sorry, but maybe there's like as I think it always depends on like on the use case basis and on the things you need to do. So because like for most of the things you will probably do, you will probably not get censored, and it's only like important like whatever you're living in China and want to put like really spicy stuff on your whatever social network running on top of SSHub or whatever, and then you may be getting censored, and then you maybe need to go over the video chain, but then you can also wait to something like that. I don't know. It's like but everything can be probably, you can probably find arguments for everything, like it should be done always or like not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's good enough if there's like a way to go through the relay chain. I didn't know, like I can just build a POV for that parachain and submit it to the relay, or how would it work?
What do you mean? Or
like you say,
no forced
like,
inclusion, you mean?
Yeah, like how would they do
no
that?
Forced inclusion. I think we activated it. Adrian, you can correct me, but I mean, like if you use XEM palette XEM on and set to like send XEF to the parachain, then like it need like, so the our validation code is written in a way that it like enforces the inclusion I mean, it doesn't mean that every parachain needs to do that, but right now I think most of them are doing it. But I mean, for sure, like the system chains would do that. So like, if you don't include all the transaction, like all the messages, then like it will in the later stage it would fail on the validation phase on the relay chain, because like the relay chain inputs, like when it validates a block, this is the message head you should get after executing all the messages, and if this one doesn't match, then like the validation will panic and say, okay, something is here not correct, and yeah. So that's the enforced inclusion.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so if I get censored on asset hub, then I can still just send it over XCM from the relay chain downwards. Yeah, good.
I think a demonstration of this forced inclusion in Polkadot would be pretty good to see in our social media. It's one of the things that we've had for a long time, but we haven't really I mean, first of all, it's a bit hard to craft. I think we need maybe a guide or something on it. But a demo of it, for example, demonstrating that if a collator is censoring, for example, you withdrawing from a parachain, and you can do it this way, that would be pretty cool to showcase in the parachain versus rollup perspective. Again, showcasing that Polkadot parachains have this out of the box, as long as they're built, for example, with standard cumulus.
Yeah, it seems to me there is an economic game associated with the collator selection, just not a very strong economic game. So basically, what you want to find is a properly aggressive or dynamic economic game, so that there can be a proper competition, and you can still ensure that blocks are being produced. Yeah. Okay, Basti, the conversation.
Sorry. But that one point, I would say, right now there's no real economic game besides you are in the set. So it's not really an economical game. It's more yeah. I know the guy who can put me in the set, something like that, which is working. But if we want to put more on it, it should be better and yeah.
And it's going to become more important when hub.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
So, Basti, how can the conversation continue? Is it part of the GitHub RFC?
Yeah, I mean, for now, I would hope that some people try to interact there on the RFC, and we can have the discussions there, and then we need to see how we develop that, how we go from there, what we do. Yeah.
Would this make sense to be developed or at least researched by Web3 Foundation first?
Probably, yes. I would probably ping Jeff on it, and Jeff probably has some ideas, so and he can. But I assume, as I know Jeff, he would probably already pop up at some point there. So, but yeah, I will forward it to. But yeah, generally, I think it's someone or Jonas or whatever who could do this kind of come up with a economical solution to that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's consensus in this meeting that we need something stronger, but defining that in the proper game theory parameters, I think it's we to rely a bit on experts on the theoretical side, and then we can look at the implementation side.
All right, I see no further hands. So then, Basti, we know you're going to follow up with Jeff. Okay, good. Then next up, we have Kian, rank 4 in the fellowship, with a salary of $5,000. Hey, Kian.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, good. What would you like me to talk about other than a brief update?
Yep. Let's start with the update.
Yeah. So continuing on what I was saying last month, still working on preparing the staking system for Asset Hub, the main staking system that would elect the validators of the relay chain. So completely actually independent that we were talking before. Maybe this month I can go into a little bit more detail and talk about how the system would work at the end. In that the task of declaring your intention to be a validator on the relay chain and nominating any of these validators either directly or as part of a nomination pool, all of this stuff would now happen on AssetHub, or post this migration would happen on AssetHub. And the outcome of this process, which would be the validator set and the eventual nominators who are exposed behind them. So they have a claim on both the rewards of the validator and they get slashed if the validator gets slashed. A subset of this information is then communicated back to the relay chain, and this is how the relay chain validators would be selected going forward. Worth pointing out that for nominators and pool members and so on, nothing would change other than you do the same interaction you do in the past, but now on AssetHub. For validators, also almost similar, except you have to do most of your work on AssetHub and submit your session keys on the relay chain. Yeah, this is still ongoing. I expect it to take another month or maybe a little bit more from my side. There are some old talks from either myself or some of my colleagues about the details of the Polkadot staking system and why it's relatively resource intensive. I think this call is a good place to bring up that so far the staking system of Polkadot has been one big experiment to see how far we can push this and have in return for this resource intense computation and process a very high quality validator set, which is what we have so far achieved and is a justification for this complex system. Now I would say putting this on a parachain is another big step in, seeing how far we can go this. And I think it's a feat, I am pretty certain to say, not done in any other system with similar properties. Yeah, that's my main update. What I had on my eyes to look into this month, but I haven't had time, but it's still like the next main thing, especially on the fellowship and community side that I want to look into, is how we can integrate the RFC 97 as part of the AssetHub migration. This is the RFC that proposes reducing the unbonding time. From what I'm observing myself and hearing from people, this is one of the most sought after features. So I would, now that I'm hands-on on staking, look into how this can also be integrated either as part of AssetHub migration or immediately afterwards. It's a good time for me to look into the existing code base and system as I'm writing all this code, and also double check where this new feature can be implemented in and supervise that. So that's something else that I have my eyes set on. Yeah, that's the main updates from my side.
All right, thank you, Kian. For the staking system, is it, from what you're sharing, it sounds to me like this is just like internal testing so far. It's not gonna go on Westland or so.
No, but it will, a version of this system where the election and the staking intentions happen on the parachain and the results are sent back, will be in this parachain that we will deploy, I think, very soon, called AssetHub Next on Westend. So it will be tested in a test net pretty soon, and I think in a maybe by the next call we will actually do the migration on AssetHub, on Westend. So then this would be another copy of the same system working again. I'll let Donald more speak about the timelines of this when it's his turn, but it will be on some test nets pretty soon.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Kian. I don't see any hands. Okay, let's move on. So next up, Oliver, rank 3 in the fellowship, and currently not pulling any salary. Hey, Oliver.
Okay. I think your information is a bit outdated regarding salary. Like Kian, I think at rank 4 it should be like 10K, and from right? Or...
No, I'm a passive member, so my salary is divided by half. Yeah.
Okay, good. For me, I don't know. Maybe I forgot to register yet, but it should be like the normal amount. Yeah, okay, never mind. Yeah, so what I've been doing, I was mostly working on an asset hub migration. Yeah, doing like crowd loan migration, like the bulk of the code is done there. Like, you know, migrating the lease reserves, all of the crowd loan contributions and so on, so that they can then be unlocked on asset hub. Yeah, otherwise I just did some account translation for parachain sovereign accounts, because they will they cannot use the same account address as before. It has to be somehow translated, and some of them requested this. So yeah, it kind of depends on if you want to do this for all of the parachains immediately, or if you want to have like some opt-in, opt-out mechanism. But yeah, if you just use the same account ID, then it will not be accessible, like without some kind of escape hatch. Yeah, we also want some kind of escape hatch that you can still access the same account ID as you were controlling before on the relay chain, but now on asset hub, just to make sure that we don't miss any of these corner cases. Yeah, otherwise, yeah, just small comment about the versioning. We had some kind of internal meeting, I think last week, where we talked about the Semver versioning, and we said, okay, we're gonna keep most of the crates like in their normal Semver versioning with, I don't know, number 40 or 39 or whatever. And then we just have one like self-explanatory version number on the umbrella SDK crate. So for example, 02503 or something. And then like the idea is that you just use that. Yeah, basically just doubling down on the umbrella crate was kind of the outcome. But yeah, we still want to kind of get feedback on that from the ecosystem, if they're happy with this or not. Because there was some, yeah, I don't know how they will react. But yeah, it will be good to ask them. Yeah, last point regarding the Jam client that I'm working on, Gray Matter, that's like importing fallback and subroll conformance tests from one of the other teams. Yeah, so that's going forward. We hope that we can soon like join testnet or something, but yeah, we'll see. All of the networking and intermediate stuff is a bit annoying. Yeah, and then I had one more question, but we can also do this afterwards. I saw that some work has been picked up again on the optimistic project funding. I think that the community still wants this. I think Basti reviewed it as something that I didn't really follow, but just wanted to ask what the status is on that.
Yeah, it's being worked on. It's like last year I had a call with a guy who works on it. I gave him like some directions. Then I was like procrastinating a little bit to review it. I reviewed it recently again, and like, yeah, I think I'm happy to get more people involved who want to, like, the community for sure wants it, and I saw a lot of people talk about it, and I think it's also like it's probably important or whatever. So I mean, it depends on what you think about it. But yeah, if there would be more people besides me who would like to look into it, and there are like some yeah, like give some guidance. I'm the guy. I think he was doing PBA before, or whatever. I don't exactly remember, but yeah. Yeah. So like, if someone wants to join as a channel, you can be invited, and like, like just give a review, like give some, yeah. That's
Just some channel for the map request, or what do you mean?
For the what?
You said invited to some channel, or what did you say?
No, if you want to get like if you want to be involved, so then you can get invited to some channel, or you just review it, or whatever. So like, I mean, I can. So like, there's this element channel, but so like, I can give you like a brief explanation on this if you want to have it. I don't know, or like what was my complaint about it? Do we want it? Do we don't want it? I don't. Tommy,
Yeah, it's good. I mean,
yes. Okay. So yeah, just okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, I didn't know there was some channel. Thanks, Keen.
All right. So I think I saw in chat that you just shared the channel for the discussion on optimistic projects on it? All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, would be cool to have it.
Yeah, I think we have this Rust bounty now, right? So you can also use that to fund it. But I guess the fellowship would still want to review it if it's on a system chain. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, also the bounty is not like just because it by a bounty doesn't mean it doesn't need to be reviewed or whatever. But yeah, I think it's like for the bounty we today had like a call, and I'm one of the creators, and I think that like the problem is not really like that we don't have enough issues or not enough stuff. It's more like that we don't like we're lacking on like on the execution side or whatever you want to say. It's like we need more people actually doing these kind of things, and then there comes the next step, which is actually like a little bit like it's a little bit with parity or whatever, which like because like if you want to get something in the SDK, then you're blocked or not really blocked by parity or whatever. So like yeah.
Is this maybe some work for? Is it maybe some work for the rank 1s and 2s where they might be looking for work and they can pick up on this?
Yeah, for sure. Like if someone wants to like help on this, or like for sure, like I think it's a perfect job for like level 1 or 2. I mean, the scope is not that big, and it's quite easily understandable. It's more like just writing the palette, doing some like integrating multiple palettes to not rewrite all the code. That like that it was, for example, one of the feedback I gave to I forgot his name. I'm so sorry. But let me check his name. But to say, okay, I'm fucking lost. I cannot. Kazunobu. I hope I pronounced it correctly. So like one of the feedbacks I gave to him that he should reuse some of the code and make it they don't rewrite everything from scratch, because like it was a little bit complicated at the beginning or at the end of last year. So yeah, but if you look if you look into it, he clearly needs to have like a little bit more guidance and all these kind of things.
Okay. So if we have someone from the fellowship who is listening, he can reach out to you and have a conversation about it.
Yeah, for sure. Or just join the channel that Kieran shared with Sure Change, but yeah. Or just if you don't know the channel, reach out to me or something like that, and I can invite you, and then we can have a discussion, and then maybe team up with them or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Basti. Thank you, Oliver, for raising it. Anything more from your side?
Yeah, I think like when we have the smart contracts, then this execution side of thing would hopefully accelerate a bit, because we don't always need to go through pallets. We don't have to put the stuff in SDK and then runtimes. We can have a contract for that and then fund it.
For sure, but I mean, like, it maybe makes it a little bit easier, but in the end, you're then still like blocked by like, because like it will be like a kind of system functionality, so you still need to have like proper audits and all that, so that it doesn't mean that it can be written by like whatever, by like some guy somewhere, and then the guy disappears, because like you need to have a proper audit, all the kind of things, because like you want to have a lot of funding being assigned to that and all the kind of things. So it would be better that it be in like then but maybe you're right. We probably remove one barrier, which is like this complicated Rust thingy, whatever. But but the second one still holds, which is then like audit. But yeah, you're right. Actually, like it will be better. Or it should be better.
Yeah. We also don't need to wait for the 3-month releases or the fellowship releases or anything. We can do it at any point.
All right. Okay. Then Oliver, we're done. Good. Okay. Then let's move on. Next up is Next up is Adrian, rank 3 in the fellowship and currently not pulling a salary. Hey, Adrian.
Hey, Tommy. Same as Oli, I am pulling a salary. I think you are running on wrong information. Need to rerun your script. Make sure you're using light clients and not those RPCs that timeout,
Sorry, I didn't get.
Make sure you're using light clients and not the RPCs, because those time out
Yeah,
and you're not getting the right information.
that's likely the answer. That's likely the answer. Okay, so what's new for you, Adrian?
Yeah, so I don't have much to report since last month. Making progress on multiple topics, but nothing deliverable right now. Nothing new either. I don't think there's anything we haven't discussed before. So going through them really quick. Snowbridge v2. Most of the code is ready, not yet merged to SDK, but we are targeting to merge it to make in time to make it for the 25.03 SDK release, which is at the end of March. We need some of the Snowbridge v2 features for Polkadot Hub, specifically for the ability to have contracts call each other over the bridge, or having contracts on Ethereum call directly into contracts on Polkadot. We would like to be able to launch with that capability from the start. This is tangential to another work thread I'm involved in, which is XCM support for contracts. So how do we expose the underlying XCM calls to contracts? Making sure we have the machinery for contracts to call into XCM, as in to send cross-chain messages, to receive cross-chain messages, to execute cross-chain messages. And there's also some work done at the contract level, which is how do we hook, or what kind of standards, how do we extend, for example, ERC20, which is a discussion, to allow cross-chain token transfers, right? Our XCM solution is a runtime specific solution, like a Polkadot specific solution, chain to chain. But if we're talking about EVM contracts, those come with their own EVM ecosystem standards. And we are working on finding the best adapters from going from one to the other. Another related work thread is the migration and any XCM requirements, any XCM changes required for migrating everything from Plaza, from the relay chain to Asset Hub. So another big work thread there. We already know about checking accounts for teleports that need to change. We know that we need to change a bunch of barriers. We need some coordination on messages, on barriers, on what is trusted between some chains and then moves to be trusted between other chains. So, for example, the relay chain allows certain system chains to do unpaid execution for some governance, or for example, for collectives for paying salary. Since this will move to Asset Hub, we need some new rules and some coordination code to run by old rules, and then during the migration switch to the new rules. And something else, another thread that's ongoing is XCM v5, which, as you know, is almost there, almost completed. Everything was merged, everything was released. We are now tying up some loose ends. We found a potential security issue. We fixed it. We backported it. And sometime soon, we will start integrating in the Polkadot runtimes. And then also targeting, kind of all of these things come together at more or less the same time. So Polkadot Hub with contract support, Polkadot Hub with like everything migrated from the relay chain to Asset Hub, to this Polkadot Hub chain, and Snowbridge v2 launched on Polkadot Hub at the same time using XCM v5, which will be launched more or less at the same time. Right? They don't have to happen at the same upgrade, but they are all connected one way to one another. Yeah, and that's about it.
Got it. So the when you say integrating into the runtime, is it going to launch on Kusama first?
I think we will be targeting to do both at the same time. as in at the same time in the sense that they're going to be in the same release number, in the same fellowship release. Obviously, the deployment to the live chains will go as usual first to Kusama and then a couple of weeks later to Polkadot.
Yeah. And so my understanding is that everything is roughly targeted for the third quarter, for Q3. So would it mean that XCM E5 is also in that time frame? Or
no, yes, you make a good point. On Polkadot network, the whole Polkadot hub is targeted for Q3. I think for XCM V5, Snowbridge V2, and most of the work that we need to do for Kusama will be doing for Polkadot 2, and it will be done by end of Q2.
I see. All right.
I mean, that's what we're targeting. That's what we're targeting right now.
Yeah. Good. So basically, the transition is going to live on Kusama for Asset Hub and everything, and at roughly at the same time also XCM version 5.
Yeah.
Got it. Interesting. Okay. Good. Thank you, Adrian. Any questions from someone to Adrian? I see Daniel.
Yeah. Hello, Adrian. You mentioned that you're working on gluing XCM and ERC20 EVM contracts. Do you have something that I could read about it? Because my coworkers and I, we were tackling a similar issue with XCM NFT transfers for ERC71, and we implemented a POC for our fork of Moonbeam, but it is very specific to Moonbeam itself, so it's not a general solution. And when you were working on this, do you see a way to make it like general enough to glue XCM and EVM, like for all EVM compatible chains, or it is not possible?
Yeah, I think it's too early to tell. We have started exploring. We're doing now just some research. I'll send you, there's a link of an issue that is tracking some of this work. There's some other issues tied to this issue. So there's like some linking that you can navigate there. But I don't have an answer yet. It's also a difference in sort of mentality, or I don't know how to put it. So basically, Ethereum is operating under the constraints of Ethereum, so it cannot do a lot of stuff. So they're coming up with all sorts of clever workarounds. There's this EIP, doesn't matter the number. It's about cross-chain intents. It's a way to bridge or like send tokens between one chain to another. In a way, it's bridged, right? For us, when we look at the whole Polkadot system, we don't even realize it's like what we're doing day to day. Others are seeing as very complicated bridge transfers. But they're doing this from one chain to another, so cross-chain token transfers through this intents-based mechanisms, which is relying a lot on off-chain relayers and liquidity for people to basically take some money from you on one chain and give you some other money on some other chain, and they need to do there's a lot of machinery off chain, or like they need to do some calculations, make sure that they're not losing money in the process, right? They're making a profit. So it's like more complicated, not necessarily more complicated. It is complicated to a certain degree, but my point is they're going in some directions that Polkadot didn't have to go. And now it's like a philosophical thing that we need to think about, is whether do we follow these models that they are constrained to, they're forced into, or do we try to push our own models, which are allegedly better, but then might not have direct translation.
But yeah, it seems this very question. Okay. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, in conclusion, I don't have an answer right now. So the conversation is ongoing.
And yeah, that's a very question about about what can we do about the incompatibilities with the EVM and the substrate led to multiple forks of Frontier, and Moonbeam uses its version of Frontier. Akala uses, I don't know, some other implementation of EVM. We use our version of Frontier, and well, that's why our solution for C721 was Moonbeam specific. So it worries me a great deal because each chain went with their own workarounds for the problems you described.
So it sounds like an issue where you might want to sync up later and figure out if there's some like overlap or synergy that you can find.
Yeah, definitely. And this is something that's also important to verify, or like we don't want. One of the targets is like try not to reinvent anything new for Polkadot contracts in general. We are inventing, or there are some new stuff like the PVM and a bunch of stuff in the machinery that we decided to invent new because it had different discrete properties. But wherever we can reuse something existing, we should. Yeah. So let's think. Let's build the knowledge base, a common knowledge base, and see where we can take this.
All right, got it. Thank you, Adrian. So our fact checkers have been working in the background, and it is true, I got the wrong number previously. But yeah, we were looking at the payment cycle 11 instead of 12. So we got it all fixed now. It should be correct from now. Okay, I'm calling next. And we just looked it up. It's we have 11 more people to go and 1 hour. So we're gonna time constrain it a bit so everyone gets 5 minutes. But I think that's totally doable. Okay, we're gonna move on, and I'm calling Joe, rank 3 in the fellowship with a salary of $6,666.
Yeah, hi. Okay, I can keep it short because, like, I mean, we have the asset hub migration dream team here on the call, so I think those guys can all talk about what's going on there. Alex couldn't make it, so I'll just like update about contracts. But yeah, I mean, like the major news is we have this like internal like parity deadline for our release cycle, and it was like I don't know, yesterday or something. But like all the major stuff that we need for our like contracts timeline about getting onto Kusama in Q2 and Polkadot Q3 is like it's included in this release. So that's like the major accomplishment, and yeah, basically everything is on track. I guess no news is good news in some sense. Like as we've been talking about a couple of months with this timeline, like yeah, it looks like everything's going well. And then yeah, like we're working with quite a few like say integration partners like BlockScout, Etherscan, Gnosis, Safe, the Graph. Did I say that already? But yeah, like a bunch of these other integrations that we want to make sure we have on Polkadot, so that like because a lot of applications depend on having these types of services are available on your chain. So yeah, we're also like kind of making sure that we have everything required that these guys need. And yeah, so I can keep it short. Like everything is going well on that front.
Awesome, perfect. Thank you, Joe. The Hub API, is it last time you didn't have anything to say, like is it on course?
Yeah, that one's like less so good news. Yeah, I mean, like in order to get this the migration and the contract stuff, we've had to deprioritize the Hub API a bit. But yeah, I know like somebody is still kind of working on it, but yeah, this is maybe a little bit delayed, but still hopefully by the end of this year we can have something.
All right. Okay, got it. Thank you. Anyone has a question for Joe? Good. Then we're gonna move on to Mure, rank 2 in the fellowship with a salary of 1,666 that you're pulling. Mure. Mure.
You're muted, Mure.
Can you maybe check your mic? Maybe it's not connected, or
Can you hear me now?
yeah, we can hear
All
now.
right. So my primary focus now is Asset Hub migration, and specifically I'm working on the part on the code that's gonna migrate the data from Relay Chain to the Asset Hub. So that's something we're actually working together with Oliver very closely, and it's going pretty well. We wrote code. We wrote the code that migrates a few pilots, like governance, for example. The one I was very interested how, for example, the calls mapping will go, because what we want to do is what we want to achieve is that we want to like move all ongoing governance proposal to Asset Hub as well. And to do that, for example, we need to map the calls. That worked well. So I think for now we're pretty confident with, feel comfortable with data migration for the pilot, and we wrote like for maybe half of them at least. Now we're more looking into how we will manage the migration, how we will start it, sort of handshakes between Relay Chain and Asset Hub during the migration, and also into the benchmarking, and because that also will affects the management as well, so that we basically need to bound very strictly on how much Asset Hub migration can use, how many resources Asset Hub migration can use on the Relay Chain and the Asset Hub, for example. So it will be a fixed amount, and the rest will be left for everything else, right? And also looking to that, I was thinking about I mean, most probably that's the way we see it right now. It seems that we also will be able to keep the balances, the transfers, for example, the transfers balances on Relay Chain and Asset Hub unlocked. So even during migration, basically the transfer can work. That's the current status, the way we see it. So we don't see a problem to that. So other than that, I think worth to mention on this call is that, like I think around like 1 month ago, I think we merged the pull request, open pull request, with the pilot with the name Asset Rewards. That basically what we know as farming, the pilot that supports like rewards if you basically provide some liquidity into the pool, and that is compatible with our asset conversion pilot, which means we can set up it on Asset Hub, and that's probably included into 25.3 SDK release. So I also am helping some new joiner to move forward the pull request with bounties, treasury bounties with configurable asset, so that the bounties can be opened also for the assets different from the native token, ESM or DOT. So that's kind of work in process. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that it's not kind of forgotten, and there's someone working, and there's a new joiner working it, and I'm helping to him. Yeah, I think that's it.
All right, thank you, William. Does anyone have a question? Good, then let's move on. Next up is Sebastian, rank 2 in fellowship. We see a raised hand. Adrian.
Yeah, I had a quick question for Harem regarding the pallet rewards, pallet pool rewards, or asset rewards, or whatever. Do we plan on where are the rewards coming from here?
So the palette can be configured in a way that anyone can create a reward pool for basically any supported.
Okay, so we will probably, or like the model is maybe create some sort of incentives program, create a pool of rewards, and provide rewards for certain pools.
Yeah, so the pilot is very general, right? And it basically allows you to create incentive pool for any asset on Asset Hub, and that any asset can be a LP token of the asset conversion.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy. I'm okay with
And
stopping.
one thing also, I think maybe also help this answer is that we can configure it that it can be only for treasury, for example, or there is a manager or origin for that, right? So the origin can be set to just sign it, anything, or it can be restricted. So that's also up to us, basically.
Okay, we can have another maybe a work group around this to see how to best incentivize this. But yeah, I'm happy that the palette is flexible and allows all sorts of strategies.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Good. Let's move on. Next up is Sebastian, rank 2 in the fellowship with a salary of $1,666. Sebastian.
Yes. I have been continuing the work that I reported last time, which is the slot-based collator improvements. So basically what we want there is to enable production of multiple blocks per slot. So in the Elastic Scaling MVP, we had like a model where we would reduce the slot times, for example, to 2 seconds and assign 3 cores to a parachain. And then the author would switch every 2 seconds. And now basically with the changes I'm working on, you can have the same 6-second slot duration that most parachains had before. And with more cores, this basically means that one author will produce 3 blocks, and then the next author will produce 3 blocks. This should make it a lot easier to switch to elastic scaling because chains don't need to adjust the slot duration, which is a bit of an annoyance. And also we can explore some other possibilities like a bit more authoring time for individual chain because they don't need so much networking overhead. Yeah, that's mostly it. The alpha this is open and will merge soon.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Sebastian. Does it affect somehow chains that maybe want to split it up into different collators so that they might add more processing power, or am I looking at this wrong?
No, this should not be relevant. Like processing power doesn't have anything to do with it. It's just like whose turn it actually is to author. And if you make the slot duration longer, this just means that the same guy will author three blocks. For example, if you have 3 cores, they will still author a block every 2 seconds, but it will just be done by the same guy and not by 3 different authors. But like from the processing power, this doesn't make a difference.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sebastian. Good. Next up is Donald, rank 1 in the fellowship with a salary of $833. Donald.
Hello. Hey. Sorry, I lost the button there.
Hey.
Can you see me? No.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so like it's been mentioned a few times, maybe 10 times before now, been working on asset hub migration. So it's been a big team effort. There's been, I counted this up the other day, but it's kind of a shifting scale of how many people are actually involved. But a lot of people actively coding and a lot of people who are kind of providing insights into specific areas of the code for this. So yeah, it's all been going well. Like Joe said, we've managed to hit the cutoff for most of this stuff. There's still some polishing to do before the actual release. But yeah, we've got 6 weeks now to do the polishing and also sort out this the stuff that's based in directly in the runtimes repo. So yeah, timelines wise, I think a few people have asked me recently about the overall timelines of when we're expecting this stuff to go out. And so the kind of flow of it will be to deploy Asset Hub next on West End. Essentially, I think hopefully this week. There have been quite a few different things we wanted to get it. And it's been the definition of scope creep, where like originally it was just like, okay, let's just throw together the palettes. Doesn't matter if they don't work. And then we were like, oh, but this is nearly ready, so we'll just wait for this. And then I basically chained that together for the last like 3 months. So this week we'll have it live, or we'll start the deployment process. And there are just a couple of little bugs to fix from the most recent merge. I want to basically just have it running on the same palettes as we will. So like the release candidates. So we get that finished, get it deployed, then people can start testing on that already. In the meantime, we'll complete the migration, which, as Oliver said, Oliver and Makurum are writing the bulk off, and we've got some other people testing it. So once that's written, we can sort of like replay that onto West End because it's being written specifically for Polkadot and Kusama, as it's quite like tightly coupled to the state or like the specific runtime. So yeah, we'll run that on West End at the end of this quarter, just before the release or just after release, around the end of March. And then we will start, once the crates are out at the end of March with stable 2503, we will implement it for Kusama. So we've got a few things to integrate. Oops, sorry, dog's barking. A few things to integrate, but we will then like have a release candidate for Kusama in just 1 second. Sorry. Barking dog. So we'll get that live hopefully mid-May. So we'll have the referendum, which will take obviously like the usual sort of 2 weeks for Kusama. And then there's the final signal of like the referendum go-ahead signal from, or sorry, after the runtime upgrade, we'll have the migration go-ahead signal, which will be a fellowship referendum. So yeah, the migration should run around mid-May, and maybe a little bit earlier depending on release. Yeah, and then in between those two, we're going to try to have a dry run on Paseo. We had a chat with them earlier, and they're keen to get it live so that parachains can test with it ahead of time. So they're going to kind of break this thing that they had previously been doing, where they track the Polkadot updates as they come out on Polkadot, and give the parachains a bit of time, because like there are no parachains on West End and Rococo RIP. So Paseo have said that they can upgrade it. Basically, when it's done on West End, we can prove it's robust. We can dry run it a few times and then deploy something that's that we're already confident that it's going to be stable. So like at the same time as we're code complete for Kusama, we'll do it on Paseo. They've got pseudo keys. And yeah, that'll be like the last dry run before Kusama. And then basically all the things I said about Kusama, add 1 quarter, and we'll do it on Polkadot. So there's a little bit of a lag so that people who integrate with us, like wallets, exchanges, like centralized exchanges, any dApps, UIs, you name it, just anybody has a bit of time to yeah, stabilize things and polish things before Polkadot.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, for me, there is a picture coming together of everything. So if I understand correctly, so first of all, a lot of people are working on the asset up migration from what I hear. So I think it really shows that there is a collective effort to get this done, which is pretty cool. So, but what I understand is you're basically preparing everything, and then with the stable version 2503, you're going to work against that, and then it's going to roll out in West End, and then on Paseo, and then on Kusama. And the idea is to have that roll out by the end of Q2.
Yeah. yeah, so we're aiming for getting a code complete for Kusama around like end of April, and then proposing it as a referendum and running the actual migration around mid-May. So some concrete.
Okay. Pretty good. Okay, thank you. But I remember we met the first time 1 year ago in Bangkok at Sub-Zero. But
Yeah.
that means you must have been a fellowship member for quite some time, right? Is it a year, or did you join a little bit later?
No, I actually joined after Sub-Zero. So it was, I think, April that I joined the fellowship. Yeah, like when I gave that talk about core time at Sub-Zero, I'd only been in the ecosystem for like 4 or 5 months at that stage.
Yeah. It was
yeah.
really interesting. You wonder who is this new guy and why does he know everything about core time and I don't? Made me really jealous.
Yeah, but nothing else.
So, but does it mean you're gonna upgrade to rank 2 soon?
I think my timeout, I need to wait till April to apply. Yeah, I'll be applying for promotion in April.
Yeah, pretty good. Very good. All right. Okay, thank you, Donald. Okay, we're gonna move on with Francisco, rank 1 in the fellowship and currently not pulling any salary. Hey, Cisco.
Hello. Okay, so I'm mostly one of the food workers of XCM. So some of the stuff that Adrian said, I was working on. So some of the XCM v5 loose ends, audit fixes, and so on. And now I'm doing the research on how we can get ERC20 tokens to work with XCM on smart contracts. Investigating what Moonbeam and A-Star are doing, what differences we have, how we can get it to work. And it's pretty much it, short. And then on the jam side, I'm working with Oliver on gray matter, trying to get more tests to pass with the community sort of testnet that we're doing. And yeah.
Yeah, I saw some tweets recently about people, like two different teams that were also running like something together, but it seems like more teams are now joining the effort.
Yeah, so there, I think the team Jam Duna is spearheading the effort. They made this testnet repository. They built blocks so that other teams can decode them and import them. And now they made a spreadsheet of who is the importer, who is the producer, and if they actually can communicate. So yeah, the teams are catching up to actually communicating between themselves. Yeah.
Very exciting, very exciting. Okay, yeah, so it's progressing. All right. I don't see any raised hands, so let's move on. Next up is Daniel, rank 1 and currently not pulling any salary. Hey, Daniel.
Hello everyone. That is my first time being on the fellowship hall, so I think some introduction is in order. And by the way, I have to apologize for my camera being off because, well, it doesn't work today. I don't know why. Next time I hope it will work properly. So yeah, I'm one of the builders of the unique network parachain, and this is the parachain focused on the NFT stuff, but not the plain NFTs, but functional NFTs that have some utility. They are dynamic. They can be changed with sophisticated access control and some complex structures like nesting, where one NFT owns some other asset and so on. And naturally, being part of the Polkadot ecosystem, we are interested in deep interaction with the other parachains, especially with relation to NFTs, that kind of NFTs, the functional ones. So because of that, my primary focus was XCM, XCM NFT in particular. My team and I, we devised several tools last year, starting with the XCM payment API that got merged, I believe, in the beginning of the last year. And also we prepared the new NFT and XCM types to support XCM NFT for everyone. Right now there is a PR opened in the Polkadot SDK that we want to merge as soon as possible to share that work with everyone. So everyone who has some NFT solution on their chain, whatever it is, Palette NFTs, Palette Unix, ORML NFTs, Ventus NFTs, or some smart contract stuff, so they can glue that thing to XCM. So this PR describes the general interface that is granular enough to be glued to virtually any NFT solution. At least that was the goal. So I'd like to ask the fellows and anyone who has knowledge about substrate runtime, especially the parachain builders, and has some NFT solution on their chain, to review that PR. It would be very, very helpful. So yeah. Also, I authored the 2 RFCs. The first one, I don't have the link to it, but I have a link to the second one, XCM asset metadata RFC, that was accepted some time ago. That's also about NFTs, but not only about them, because it can also serve for communication between chains about, for example, fungible collections, like symbol, decimals, and all that stuff that can be communicated between the chains, and can be used to devise a standard approach for registering foreign assets on different chains, so that chains can communicate in a standard way about that. But it is a ground thing, foundational thing for such kind of communication. So this RFC brings data communication to XCM, not just messaging about the actions. So yeah, actually, I have a question about that. I believe this will be implemented in V6, so it's not going to be V5. So Adrian, Francisco, maybe you know, if, for example, I was going to implement that, when and in what form should I do that? Should I prepare the V6 XCM, or how should it be done?
Yeah, so right now the process of creating a new version is quite clunky. You need to basically duplicate everything we have and remove the stuff you don't want, add the stuff you want. We had an issue created by Brian, I think, for streamlining this process a lot more, because right now it's not.
Great.
Yeah, and so maybe looking into that issue first, and we can try to work on that first before we start on V6. I'll share it in the chat.
Yeah, that sounds great. Cool. So yeah, that's what was I dealing with the last year. Actually, my team and I, we implemented the common tools that aren't merged to the Polkadot SDK yet, but we're already using them and created some POC, for example, for Asset Hub, for Moonbeam, and for Unique Network, of course, and we have a testnet for that. I don't have a link with me, but I believe we will share this sometime later with some UIs and stuff yeah, I was recently testing that everything works nicely with our XMJS tools that use the runtime APIs for fee estimation and the XCM dry running. I sent the link into the chat. So I discovered the backwards compatibility sometimes not working. So my last PR was about that, but there were some secondary issues that I haven't dealt with yet. So I'm working on this right now. So I can share the I don't have the link, but yeah. So right now I'm working on fixing a small issue with the dry run API. That's about it.
All right, thank you, Dan. First of all, welcome to the fellowship call. It's good to have you here for the first time. I wasn't sure if I should ask because sometimes I have a bad memory for people, but okay. So your first appearance here, and then like you come into the room and you bring all those standards. It's really cool what the Unique team has been building today. So Charu is also in Hong Kong. So I also had a conversation with her today on NFT.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's you put a lot of foundational work in there, and I could see this become actually very interesting because I don't know when this was, like 2-3 years ago, people were basically burning the NFTs and then pretending that they mint them on another chain, and a standard like NFT XM could actually be there as a good way to have a standard to send NFTs across chains. So I really look forward to having this here. Good. I don't see any raised hands, so we're gonna move on to our last member for today, and that is Pablo. So Pablo, rank 1 in the fellowship, pulling a salary of $833. Hey Pablo, how do you do?
Good. Yeah. So as mentioned in the previous meeting, I've been working on this very project of enabling a lot of traits and functionality for the fungibles collections. A couple of days ago, I noticed it was part of a project called the Universal Tokens, which will be potentially including a feature in Asset Hub, and it means basically having everything on chain as an asset in Asset Hub. So it's great. I've been enabling freezing on assets, already including in the SDK, holding on assets, which was unintentionally merged on the SDK before the audit was completed due to miscommunication, but it should be merged soon-ish after the audits have been completed. And now I'm working on asset vestings, so I hope that soon vestings are available for assets in Asset Hub. Other than that, I've been working on the last couple of months with supporting the migrations to the last stable version of the SDK to runtimes. Last December was 24.09. Now I'm working on the 24.12, which should be available on the next release of the runtimes. So it's actually that one comes with a couple of additions. I like to mention which are XCMV5. It introduces XCMV5, and then it introduces the long-awaited, I guess, transaction extensions. So that's basically what I've been working in the last month, maybe a bit longer.
All right, thank you, Pablo. This is definitely, I think, enough evidence for at least 2 ranks, all the work that you're doing right now. When would your rank upgrade be coming?
I'm hoping I can present my promotion in a couple of months. I have yet to retain the last one because of the timings. They don't match. But after that, I think it will be the evidence will be more than enough to apply for rank 2 this before have to. I think. I think.
All right, thank you, Pablo. Okay, so then I'm gonna summarize our call a little bit. I think we have everyone. Anyone here who has not been called? No, you're good. Okay, so I would say the major theme of our call today is Asset Hub. It feels like everyone is working in it, but I mean, obviously there's also different things going on. Yeah, I mean, we are just having the runtime upgrade to 1.4, but then several aspects of Asset Hub, the contracts, the compatibility of XCM support. We have crowd loan leases moving. We have the accounts and how they are moving over, how XCM is translated. I think I had that. So balances, staking, everyone is working on Asset Hub. Other than that, there were a few different topics here and there. Basti is still working on 500 millisecond blocks. This is also upcoming, and yeah, it seems like this the major theme here right now. Everyone is pulling together on this. And Daniel, you have a comment on this?
I just forgot to ask one question about the NFT palette status in Polkadot SDK. I see that the code owner was Yegor Sidorenko, but I didn't see him for quite a while. So is he currently owns this palette, or who is the current code owner? So because it's really overlaps
He's not
with my.
maintaining this anymore. No, he's not maintaining this anymore. I don't know. I mean, you have to basically find a reviewer. Maybe Mukarem wants to review it, or someone else from Frame or DevX team, but I don't think there's a dedicated maintainer.
I see. Okay. Thanks.
All right. Good. Yeah, I think we can round it up here. And yeah, this I think everything's coming together. We also, what did we see? What will we have next time? I think we will have like a Western release or so next time. Anyways, thank you everyone for coming today. We're gonna see each other in about a month. Next time I'm back home again with a lot more energy. Yeah, and so we're gonna see each other next time. Thank you everyone for coming, and have a good month. Bye bye.
Bye everyone. Thank you.
See you.
Bye. Thanks.